Let's go. Wait, what the fuck am I? Bro.
I didn't even realize.
Panini.
Debate chat.
Oh.
Wait,
Didn't even realize there was an official debate chat.
Oh, I just got here.
Only at Miller Grove.
Oh, this way good.
Omni, I think you want to do cams, right?
Fuck, I can if you don't
Wait,
want
who
it.
are the two people?
I prefer not doing it because I think we have to make caps, like
Wait,
for like
guys.
normal people.
Who are the two people debating?
Omni and PFM.
Okay, cool. I remember that.
Panini, do you want to shout out to PPH or do you want me to do that?
I'm hoping to get some damn good clips that I can put on TikTok.
Alright.
Panini.
Wait, are you both gonna show your face? Or
I'm going to. Unless he doesn't want to.
yeah, we gotta respect that.
Panini. Bro, tell us that ass.
Hey,
He's
yo,
not head ass, but-
Omni, are you gonna use that neoclassical theory?
The fuck?
Do you not remember what we discussed like an hour ago?
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely going to.
Alright, nice.
Yeah. If not, I'm pretty sure there'll be a Q&A section. Just ask me about it.
Todd,
It's actually my favorite theory I've looked into today.
when you gave me the Craigbot role, it put me in the staff chat.
Why'd you give me the Craigbot roll? What the fuck?
Y'all talk on me way too
I'm
much.
on this god tier Hades run. I'm on fucking Hades right now.
Flo, are you ready to get fucking destroyed by PFM?
Oh, yeah, I'm
and the
gonna get shit on.
inevitable wave?
Okay,
Return
all mods in chat right now.
That's me.
I did not mean for that to happen.
Bruh.
Wait, do that as like a funny meme. I'm gonna give him something to look at staff chat. Like, I didn't know that would happen.
I can't even look at staff chat anymore. This is so boring.
But I fucking added a Death's Defiance to my run. I got 3 Death's Defiance going in my Hades bout. It's curtains. Just like this debate, curtains. Yeah, PFM's I think taking a shit, so.
Oh, I won the debate.
Is PFM gonna like join the voice?
He's in the bathroom right now.
Chad, PFM.
Yeah, I should have emptied my septic tanks before I did this.
Probably.
That's for
fuck.
sure. I
How do
I should've emptied my
reset
balls.
channel perms?
I always empty my balls, my guy.
Wait, PFM is a paleocon. What?
Essentially, he's a neocon.
It's a little
Don't let him
late.
deceive you. He's a neocon.
PMF is coming. He's just a little late.
I also need to take I have to take a shit, but I'm
Don't
too
do
lazy.
Don't do that.
No, I'm not going to. I do better at a full bladder.
Okay,
A
I'm
full
telling you now,
bowel,
I'm
you
gonna be
mean?
eating.
Oh my god, my A key keeps
Hey, Toast. Okay.
my God Gamer fingers just keep yoinking the A key out from under me.
Did we ask?
Yeah.
No one asked.
I'm sorry, I'm your nightly debater, so chillax, okay?
Wait, you literally called me old and smelly.
It's 'cause you
so
are.
Wow.
You're older than me.
It doesn't mean you can't be old.
You abuse your dog.
I
I'm
abuse
letting
my
the
dog.
whole I'm letting the whole world know. What was your dog's name? I don't remember. Quizno?
I abuse my dog. Can't remember my dog's name. Yep.
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 Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Louis, you're a fucking idiot. You know that?
I'm gonna go take a piss after I clear them.
Okay.
Dude, I didn't
I
even
hope
fucking mean
I
for
hope
that
the
to
debate
happen, and
goes
now I'm gonna
well.
get like.
I won't be here for it.
Wait, are they mad at you?
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Because they
Good
think I
luck.
actually did this like on purpose.
Blue, did you get banned or something? Everyone was like, you got
Yeah.
banned.
I'm fucking temp banned because I said, oh no, I sent porn? I don't know.
Why?
It
Dude,
just-
I don't understand how hard it is for you
My
dumbasses to just follow the rules. It's
My
crazy.
finger
Oh
literally-
God, bro! Tell
It's
him,
not
bro.
hard.
My
I
finger
know
fucking
that.
slipped. My fucking finger slipped. It's not my fault. You
My
can't-
oh, it's my hotkey that sends fucking hentai into the Discord. Just
Yeah,
ah, shit.
Yeah. No, don't get it.
I'm gonna go take a piss.
So I have Nitro. No, it's the human fidget spinner. My bad, guys. My bad, mods.
Bro. What a fucking G.
Oh my, dude!
Oh
I like.
my god.
How long is PFM
Blue,
going to take a shit
my thing
for?
was that.
Hey man, when I take a shit, I don't like to be rushed. All right,
Yeah, Jack, your tongue was actually
Let my
fucking
man take
talking.
his shit, bro.
the joke was supposed to be, oh, you don't get your Chad philosophy roll thing,
Wait,
the
I
roll
thought I
you
had
wanted, so I gave you a meaningless roll, 𝗙𝗘𝗧𝗏𝗏, because I thought that just meant nothing. And then it actually. I don't
Yeah,
even
it
know how to
actually
fuck-
gave me more power than I've ever experienced.
because another thing is that I thought, well,
Hey,
like,
mamas.
I can't give you a mod roll, so like, how would you even see staff chat? So this is meaningless.
Wait,
So, yeah, is the debate starting or?
wait for PFM.
They're
I gotta
both
take my
big
essay.
shits, bro. They are
Oh,
both shitting.
that's so poopy. That's poopy. That's cool.
Damn, I really need to get a fucking haircut. This is crazy.
I cut my hair
Yeah,
yesterday.
you really do.
I know.
Turn on your camera. I'll stream.
Oh wait, I don't.
Oh, PPH is already streaming.
Yo, what's up?
Oh, okay.
I
Y'all better.
Take
Okay,
it. There we
whoever's
go.
streaming, make sure you tell whoever's streaming to full screen it and to actually click on the camera, because I don't want to see like a tiny little square of OmniFlow. I want to see like OmniFlow's like whole entire room. You know, like just click it.
My whole room. Jesus Christ, you're trying to dodge
Yeah.
my
Wait,
life.
why do you want to see his room? I didn't see the
No,
phone.
no,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
weird.
not,
I
okay,
don't-
no.
it's
Like,
not
let me show you what
weird.
I'm
See, it's pretty clean actually. Just clean.
here.
You could do like show
stream.
non-video.
Yeah, give me streaming perms for a second.
Wait, Bluepool got banned?
I need. Hey PFM, are you doing cam?
I wish.
What was that?
Yo, what the fuck, Omni? What do you mean, bro?
Wait, why would I? Why did you do cam?
Alright,
guess-
that's fine.
Wait, Omni's white? Like,
Omni's always
Yeah,
you think
what?
you think this
No,
race
Omni's
could be
black,
anything
bro.
but white?
His name is literally Deshaun. Like,
You know what I love about
Whoa,
Omni?
it's Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah, please.
Only 25 people can join the call, you dumb fuck.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why we're streaming it.
bro.
LOL.
Oh, facts.
I need to be off my fucking personal email to take some.
Panini, headass, please. I love you, but please come,
He's
bro.
eating
He's
dinner.
here.
He's eating, bro. I'm eating dinner.
I'll stream it right now if you guys really
Oh my
need
god,
to.
there's so many people.
I'm so
you know
fucking
what,
cold.
Okay,
It's crazy.
we need to
Oh.
make the limit bigger.
Yo, make it bigger than 25,
Can't.
bro.
Why don't you
Okay,
put a
the camera's
limit on
on.
the official
Oh,
debate
can't.
channel?
No,
Okay,
no,
no,
put the
Omni has
camera on.
cam. Omni has
Set it-
cam. Omni has
It
cam.
said it at
Camera, Omni,
99.
turn off your camera right now, and then you can stream later, I think.
No, someone just put a limit on it right now.
No. The way it works is if you turn on the camera, it puts an auto limit at 25.
What the
Oh.
fuck?
Yeah, to
Also,
save
we
the bandwidth.
probably should have set
Oh,
terms
what
before
the
everyone joined on
That's
the
Okay,
video.
wait,
dumb.
Omni, you can put on your cam now, I think. Right? If I
No, apparently
No,
not.
it's actually, it's literally, no, Discord literally caps it at 25, like, if you have cam.
Okay, then we don't need a
Yeah.
cam. Why do we need a cam?
We don't need cam. We don't need cam.
Alright, I'll just fucking
Just kick
wait. Let me
someone
run
out.
OBS. Give me a sec. I need my cam.
Bro,
Look how beautiful I am.
Wait, who's streaming?
Panini, I
Panini
assume.
was supposed to, but he's not answering.
Wait, I thought you were
Wait,
supposed
is
to be
this
done,
wait,
bro.
working right now?
He might have started the stream.
I think the stream started.
No, he
Oh,
did.
never mind. It's not.
Where's
We should wait for
Dude, Chad
Panini.
Panini?
Bro, everyone waits for Panini, bro.
That means that
What's
we're
that?
waiting for him to finish.
Not Aggie saying that econ debates are boring.
Well, no, they
Yeah.
are.
All econ debates
When
are
it's your-
boring.
Oh my God.
When I'm in a debate, it's not boring. Okay, chillax.
Shush.
I never
well,
once
I don't
played
know
a
about
debate.
that.
Unless I
I'm
talk
okay.
about-
Guys,
unless I
it's
talk
not
about-
If you
debate
don't
philosophy
if you don't call the other
now.
person-
unless I
Philosophy.
philosophy, then I can see it being boring. Okay.
Philosophy,
Philosophy sounds
exactly,
boring.
Aggie.
Fuck, dog.
Exactly, Aggie.
Exactly, Aggie, bro.
Remember when I
Bruh.
fucking BTFO'd Wizard on egoism?
Oh, you literally didn't beat that on me. It was 4 a.m. It was 4 a.m.
It was 4
and
a.m.
your
You said,
poker-
dude, I don't know.
Hey, can I just like ask y'all's mod something? Shouldn't we have probably set perms before we had everyone join the VC?
Terms for what? What do you mean?
For talk, speech perms. You want to go and server mute everyone?
Oh my
No,
god.
bro, they're gonna do that.
Server mute.
How is this
I
possible?
said perms, but everyone needs to leave and come back.
Why?
No, people are
No.
muted. People without terms are
Everyone's
muted.
already muted. It's already.
Yeah, it's only people with like
Anyone
council and
like
mod
fucking-
who can talk.
Me, what the fuck?
Holy fuck.
Bluefield is above
Wait,
council.
how long is
now.
how long is this
I
debate
don't know
supposed to
why
go,
he
by
has
the way?
to vote.
Okay, well, one of y'all should just go
Just
through and then server
Yo,
mute
how long is this debate supposed to go, by the way?
I
Uh,
don't have
an hour,
Hour and a half.
20 minutes.
However long it goes, my guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the hour part is like so the like okay. I'll
Is
just
it
play
the
with
format
like,
as our old one?
yeah, same
Jack?
format as the old one. So like the hour part where y'all discussing, it's pretty flexible. I can like extend it if we need to be.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like, please,
That's fine.
econ debates are generally pretty boring in general, so I don't want to explain
Shut
it
the
too long.
fuck up.
Hey, that's not
No,
even
they're not.
true. You're just an idiot.
Imagine, ironically, imagine on a debate server saying econ baits are fucking bull. Bro, what's interesting to you? I'm curious.
I'm sorry, bro. The last debate we had with Wizard and was so boring.
That's
Yo,
because
no,
it's fucking Pan and Wizard. What are you
Okay.
expecting?
Omni, if you don't yell and call the other person anti-intellectual, I'm literally
Wizard
stopping
just
the
stream
video.
it,
Wait,
please?
why?
'Cause I
That
want
was
to
an
Omni,
hour
bro,
point.
no
I can
balls.
stream it.
Call
I
him
can
King
stream
Hazel
it.
is literally an anti-intellectual. I don't see a problem.
No, I'm
Guys,
fine with you
guys,
calling him that. You better
econ
call him
debates are
that.
boring. It's just like Neil.
Yeah, no, it's
Is
just
that a better
one
idea?
side
Yeah, let's
right.
do that.
I'll record.
Dude,
I'll
The other
record.
one's just fucking
anti-natalism,
wrong.
anti-natalism debates are only
let's
enjoyable
just
ones,
get
dude.
Craigbot to join too.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
what I
can
was
record.
saying.
I gotta
That's
Do
what
we
I
find
was
have
out.
saying.
enough
Are you gonna
judges?
stream it though? Like, how's
Wait,
Craig
Wait,
not gonna
who
stream
are
it?
the judges
Stop
again?
recording.
I can judge. I mean,
Because
Banter.
I could
I'm
Banter.
I don't want to.
It's like toast.
Ooh, where was that? Wait, where'd that go?
Banner.
Hey, where the
It's
fuck did that
Toast,
go?
Vanner.
Is Vanner even in the
Me,
VC?
but I hate econ
Oh,
debates,
okay.
so I'll
Okay.
be biased.
Okay, so Vanner, Toast, and who else?
Aggie.
And Aggie. Okay.
Aggie debating. Aggie's judging a econ debate. Okay.
Okay.
True.
Wait,
Okay,
but-
and you
Wait, but
thought-
isn't she
Well,
gonna?
even though PFM had better points, Omni yelled more and was more exciting, so
I
Omni
mean,
won the debate.
fact. That's
Wizard,
literally how the debate works.
literally, when I judge my,
I have a
I
proposition
have
for
literally
both
the most notes
competitors
on
here.
multiple things. I like debate as a career. Like
Okay,
what?
someone
Okay.
ranked
Me,
Aggie.
PFM.
I also
I have
did
a
as a
Debate.
career
All right,
base.
Aggie. All right.
What?
Someone ranked.
Alright, should
Oh,
I
well,
start
I guess I'm
streaming?
not a cool to have a
Alright,
debate
wait,
for.
Hang on,
Wait,
hang on.
what are you streaming
Omni,
to?
PFM, would you feel more comfortable
Twitch.
if one of the judges was
Whose?
Mine.
I want my
one of the
video to
judges-
process. I need to figure out how the fuck
Wait,
to
what?
find out where OBS
Is
is
one of the-
directing my recordings.
Go
If one
down
of
to
the
the
judges
bottom.
was what?
Bro,
Settings,
someone.
which I'll put. Here,
Where
give
the
me
fuck is
streaming for wait, give me
Panini?
streaming
Oh.
for a second for Omni how to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Oh, I found it. Grazie. You're the best.
Wait,
No
wait.
problem.
Myces can judge in my place because I don't want to judge.
No,
him
Mice
on
is
it.
a capital. He's so biased.
Wait, wait.
Okay, no,
No, no, no.
Yeah, he's gonna be hella
I
biased,
would not
bro.
think Mices is biased.
Make
No, no,
me
no,
a
let me-
judge.
I've already talked to Mices, and the fact that we agree, like,
Yeah.
me and Mices agree on shit. That's the funny part.
The Mice is
Well,
amazing.
if the
it's
market
amazing.
socialist wants the
That time.
capitalist to fucking
Yeah,
judge
but
everything,
it's
it's
not
okay.
co-op, and he
Wait, let
also
me
is a
judge.
capitalist. Like,
I'm big.
Then again, Mices is also socially fucking
I
conservative,
posted
so
a
maybe I
link-
don't want this dumb
Wait.
fuck debating.
I posted a link and someone said that they asked if it was over now.
No, it's
So
not.
So I don't know if like
It hasn't
if
begun.
you click on,
That'll be
I know, but like
Points
if
too.
you click on it, does it like not show up or
No,
something?
my
Like, why
only
would
thing
it do
is
that?
it's an econ debate, so we should probably have people who know about econ judge it. And
You should
I'm
probably let
economically
UF and GCJ
illiterate.
judge.
The stream works.
Juice
no,
wants
no.
to judge, and I don't care. but
Yeah,
Messi
put
also
give
Let me
UF
judge,
judge
let me
too,
judge.
give
Damn,
UF
I got
Let me
a
judge.
fat echo in my
Wizard, I
background,
said
but who cares?
economically
Wait, didn't no, just can't judge.
You
You
gotta have
I see how it is,
cheese
Aggie.
on
I
the
see how it
panel.
is.
You
That's
really
just
help
kind
you
of a
out.
BS anyway. I don't care.
But face, you're not economically literate enough compared
Dude,
to
it's
you.
UF
That
judge.
is so-
literally
shut up, Aggie.
Bro, unironically, y'all, it's crazy. You don't really need to be crazy economically literate to understand this topic.
It literally.
Yeah.
No, this is.
Well, it doesn't
PPK.
matter. I think my season's still the
Yeah,
better
they kinda
option.
do.
Okay,
No,
let my
Wait,
we
why
need
are
we
we-
need
why are
cheese
we
to be on the
figuring
judge.
this
He's
out?
literally in
I
between
We
them.
need-
While you guys are figuring this out, I'm gonna go pee.
I can fuck
Okay.
Again,
Wait, can you
again.
guys hurry up though? He's old. Like
Jeebs
that's
No, we're
Search,
waiting for Indian Panini to come back so we can stream it.
I
Unless
said
you
we
guys
start
want-
without him. It's been 30
Well,
we're not
your
gonna
phone's
be-
already gone, so we have to wait anyway. Literally, shut up and let me eat my food.
Okay,
Alright,
I'm gonna go.
Ronnie,
Oh
I got
my
fat
God.
time.
Blue pilled for judge.
Blue
Ronnie.
pill for
You
bear.
think I want the guy that says it's
Blue
more
pill
important for
for
blacks to get
serve
shot
and
in
Oh
the
my
face
god.
than it
you
is for
can keep
socialism to be
straw manning me if you want to cope, but
actually your exact argument, but whatever.
Blue pill,
Yep,
blue
yep,
pill
yep.
trying to judge when he's literally gonna be banned after this. Okay. Okay.
For 14 hours. For 14 hours.
Blue pill.
Yo, free my brother Blue Pill. My man did nothing wrong.
God, I did nothing.
On God, he's done everything wrong. Hey, hey, Blue Pill, how many warnings do you have? I'm curious.
I think 28. Like,
Yo.
yeah.
You
No.
should have been banned. You should have been banned at 6.
Shut
Wait,
the
so
fuck
who
up,
relates
bro.
to Mises? I don't know how you say the fucking name.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
It's
It's
Mrs.
a Mises.
It's a Mrs.
I think that's wrong.
Bruh.
I'm gonna say
No,
it
it's
violent.
You know,
Brown
Mrs. You know, that's what it is.
Mhm.
No, I think that's wrong.
No,
Oh my
it's
God.
not.
I'm gonna say it violent.
Pretty sure it's Misai.
He's well known for his well structured.
capitalism.
No, he's well known for his well structured idea of why socialism is always correct.
No,
It's
it's
like
like
Definitely,
he's a
yeah,
super
definitely.
big socialist.
Yeah, he's a
Okay,
communist
so-
guy.
On
Yeah.
October 10th,
Okay.
right?
Him
Mises
and Marx
is the
were actually
biggest
homies,
communist.
you know.
Yeah,
Wait,
he's the
okay,
biggest
okay,
fucking
guys.
communist.
If Panini is not here in like 2 minutes, can Wizard just stream it, bro? Please.
I could stream it. My
Okay.
computer's good. I have good internet speed.
People
I need
Are we
some.
starting
No, sorry,
today
my
or what?
PC is
I have
garbage.
good internet speed.
Yo,
I can,
shut the
I can
fuck up.
stream it.
Tony talking.
No, you don't.
Someone is already streaming it, isn't it?
Yeah, I can
Wait,
stream it. I
is
have good internet
Antizer
speed.
streaming? 'Cause I
Tony,
see it at
nobody
the
cares. I'm
top.
kidding. I love you, Tony.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's
You know,
not
if
me.
that's how it is.
Kidding, Tony.
Herm, I don't give a fuck. On God.
So
Okay.
You're gonna hear my plates.
This is
You're
getting
gonna hear my
streamed
spoon
to-
scraping my plate. On God.
Better be
God,
1080p.
We're literally like ranking for Panini right now. Is he gonna pick?
Oh my God, he's eating dinner. He cannot simply.
He's been eating dinner for the
We're
past
literally
22 minutes.
Hold
Yo,
up, hold
dude,
up. We're
only at
literally
Miller
So
Grove
annoying.
is this
we're
motherfucker.
streaming,
like-
bro.
Guys, I'm pretty
What?
sure.
Does any of-
Yeah,
Can I
we're
just-
already
Yeah.
streaming. We're already streaming.
There's 16
not-
people watching. You want me to stream it?
Yeah, I
This is such a great
look
show.
in general chat moderators.
Oh wow, we are streaming. Okay.
So
Oh,
we're starting?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Miller
Start
Grove,
up.
then
Start up.
I mean, start it up. Am I gonna get a fucking
Mods. Literally server mute anyone that's not involved in the debate right now.
Fuck you.
Okay, I'll do
Server
that
mute
right
blue
now.
pill.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Blue
Blue.
pill has been server muted.
Only at Miller Grove do we server mute everyone.
Okay, let me mute myself. Wait,
Wait,
Todd, you're gonna.
is everyone server muted?
Oh, I'm not muted yet. Oh, sorry.
Wait, I gotta fix my settings.
All right, are we good?
Okay. How do I audio general devices? How do I get my input? Oh, input. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Hey, bro, this is important. I need.
No, I'm not talking about that, bro. I just want to start. Okay,
Shut the fuck up.
I'll just go ahead and start.
No, I need to figure out how to make my OBS
Oh.
input be on my fucking microphone and not my camera's microphone.
Can I show him real quick?
Yeah,
Go
sure,
to general. Go to general for like 30 seconds.
General, I bet.
We're never gonna start this debate. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Yo,
Oh, you're back now. That's great.
I've been back for like 5 minutes, but like, yeah, or more like 3 minutes. But yeah, are we starting yet or what?
Yeah. Omni is trying to do something with OBS, so we have to wait for him. But then yeah, we'll start. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, also you're taking the affirmative. So you saw the format, right?
I mean, I was told that there was an affirmative and a
Right.
negative.
Looks
What
good.
is it?
Yeah. So your affirmative, Omni is negative, and basically that means you do the opening first.
The
And
affirmative and negative are
That's
essentially
fine.
just there
Yeah.
to dictate opening and like.
Oh,
opening.
okay. 'Cause they
Yeah.
don't otherwise have any meaning in this.
There's no
context.
such thing as a fucking affirmative when it comes to debating.
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we're just saying affirmative as in this guy goes first. We're not actually using it any other way.
Mhm. Basically, yeah. Okay. Give me 1 sec.
So I'm gonna go first.
Yeah,
Fine?
hold up. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Let me do the intro. Yo, chill. Okay.
Alright.
Aye,
Hey
aye,
guys,
aye.
welcome to the official debate on economics here today at the hosted the Political Kickback. The stream currently right now is being streamed by the Progressive Powerhouse, an organization dedicated to spreading progressive ideas online and through physical activism. Follow the PPH on Discord, TikTok, and on YouTube. And so today's debate will be on market socialism versus capitalism. OmniFlow will be taking on the position for market socialism, and PFM will be taking on the position for capitalism. So PFM, you can go in and start. The format will be 5 minutes opening, and then for both sides, an hour like flexible like discussion time, and then 5-minute closings for each side. PFM, you can begin.
Okay, I may or may not actually use the full 5 minutes, so just letting you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Today I'll be arguing that capitalism is a superior system to, quote, market socialism. Now, arguing why exactly market socialism is inferior in the context that I'm currently doing so is hard simply because market socialism can be defined in a bevy of different ways, and the problems associated with market socialism are largely unique to the particular incarnation of market socialism that one is advocating for. I'm not familiar with the specific version of market socialism that my opponent is arguing for, so I can only guess at what particular set of grievances that I have within the system that he is proposing. I can only make a further examination upon questioning my opponent on the particulars, which will presumably take place beyond the scope of this opening statement. I can, however, say that something that appears to be generalizable across all versions of market socialism is that the system attempts to have a system in which among the factors of production, land, labor, and capital, the latter two factors are deliberately conflated. That in a normal market in which the factors of production each operate to some extent independent of one another, this serves as an important function of exchange. Most versions of market socialism attempt to conflate each market into one and pretend as though these markets can function normally. Each laborer, each worker, is by default also an owner of some degree of capital, and trading it amongst themselves is arbitrarily restricted in the name of equality. This means that the system conflates two of the factors of production and cannot be exchanged. Given that markets are meant to function as a system of exchanges, I'm curious how exactly market socialists suppose that various decisions are supposed to be made without the option for exchange within a market. My proposal is to simply maintain capitalism as a mode of production, not necessarily this particular incarnation of capitalism that exists today, but generally I prefer the mode of production of capitalism to any other mode of production. And why not? Many of the problems of capitalism that are claimed to exist, in fact, do not exist. Of course, it is hard to see a myriad of problems that exist within capitalism that is simply allowing for all voluntary exchanges of goods and services between people. This, of course, includes trading capital or the means of production. Capitalism is the only system that does not arbitrarily restrict the trade of capital among individuals. It functions simply as society's freedom to trade and make decisions as they please. Is this coercive? Of course not. The actors within capitalism are acting voluntarily within their own interpretations of their own self-interests. Any attempts to claim that capitalism is coercive leads to claims such as that your mother has exploited you by birthing you into this world, giving you no choice but to exist. One must claim that nature is exploitive to the humans at the mercy of it. I would hope at least that this is not an idea that we want to take to its ends. A common grievance with capitalism is that the middle class has not been growing for decades. The reality is that the median personal income, median being the value of the random variable such that its cumulative distribution function is equivalent to 0.5, meaning that outliers cannot influence it, has risen by a quite staggering 55% from 1981 to 2015, where of course this number will be larger scaled to 2018 or 2019 if the data were to be available. This suggests that everyone is getting progressively richer, whether it be the bottom half of the country or otherwise. You also see this in the form of global poverty statistics falling across the world. We are in the most prosperous times we have ever seen in human history, largely thanks to capitalism. I'm curious what my opponent's grievances are with a system whose very fundamental nature promotes freedom and prosperity of its people. That is all.
All right, thank you. Let me go ahead and reset the timer. Omni, you may now begin.
Alright, so there's a bunch of points that you made in that, but the first one is you don't really know what market socialism I'm talking about. And I think that's a fair question. That's a fair thing to bring up. The market socialism I'm talking about is simply just the worker-owned means of production and still keeping inside the free exchange of goods and services inside of this system that we already have. And I have to say something. I will clap my hands to capitalism. It has been fantastic. It has lifted so many people out of poverty, and I believe that as a system, it's okay. It's not awful, but I think we can do better. And that's the reason why I'm suggesting that market socialism is better, because there's a simple natural progression to why we believe things. When we go on to a system of exchanges, that doesn't necessarily completely get snuffed out when it comes to market socialism. It's just simply revamped. It makes it so there's less kind of exploitation that goes on. There's a lot of things that you said that were wrong in your opening statement where it's not coercive, and you say that nature isn't coercive, but no, nature is coercive. It coerces you to do things all the time because that's a definition of coercive. But I guess we'll go into that when it comes to the open discussion. What I'm proposing is a market socialist economy that results around the worker-owned means of production instead of a free market idea. What is this? Well, of course, it's a democracy in a workplace compared to a monarchy in a workplace. Capitalism, by definition, is a monarchy. You have a single owner or multiple owners of a single institute, and then they dictate what happens to the vast majority of the people underneath them simply because they claimed it. You know, there's no real idea for why these things shouldn't be separated between people. It's just, if you were the first one there, you now get to dictate the lives of others in your hands. I'm not for that. I'm for democracy. I like when people are able to have opinions about why they should do things. I like when people have an opinion about why their industry shouldn't go toward this, or they should, simply because of the idea that I don't like exploitation. We go toward things like the labor theory of value, and the ECP, all of things that are completely correct and that's what we like to do. My opponent gives up the idea that it's the system attempts to conflate land, labor, and capital. Well, not necessarily. So labor is something that is inherent to my system, where I think the labor should be evenly distributed and the profit should be evenly distributed back to the labor after reestablishing the instruments used to create that profit. So after we do that, what's left? The profit. The profit from, so you take the tools, you replenish the tools, and what's that? If you get money back, it just goes toward the laborers and a distribution that is decided amongst the workers. I don't see what's the problem with that. Instead of the idea where, okay, there's a capital owner that does almost nothing. All they really do is just have risk. They have risk because they put stuff into the company, and after they put stuff into the company, they then make a bunch of money off of the labor of the ones below. I think a lot of this is going to go into the back and forth about why my system is correct and why his system is wrong. But in essence, capitalism is unequal. Capitalism is unjust, and I want to fix it. So market socialism isn't necessarily the be-all, end-all, but it is definitely a step in the right direction, making it so there's no longer a monarchy in the workplace, but more of a democracy, making it so that people get fair wages based on elective rule. I think elections are one of the best things we have. Like, to quote Winston Churchill, democracy essentially a quote or a paraphrase is, democracy sucks, but it's the best form we got. And I think that applies to the workplace as well as public positions, Anyway, this notion that capitalism is good because it's done good, therefore we should never leave it, is idiotic in nature. I think we shouldn't stick to things simply because they've worked in the past. I think we should evolve to things that are by far and by definition better.
All right.
That'll be my opening, yeah.
All right, thank you. So we're ready to go ahead and begin the discussion session. And so they'll be around 1 hour long, but it could extend depending on how the conversation goes, and I'll go ahead and dictate that. Any sources you do put, go ahead and put in the sources channel. And with that being said, hope you'll do well, and let's begin.
Alrighty. So any questions about my opening or your opening? I have a few with yours, but I'll let you question.
Well, just to frame in this conversation, like I said in my opening statement, there's so many different ways that we can do socialism. A lot of different people have a lot of different versions of market socialism.
Yeah, worker means production.
So I just wanted to ask you, what is your version of market socialism?
Yeah, worker means a production.
That's all? You're not going to give any specifics whatsoever?
What do you mean specifics? It's essentially you take a capital owner, a private owner of the means of production, and you get rid of it and replace it with the workers. Of course, that's all I care about.
So you're not really interested in any particulars about implementing the system whatsoever?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, I think the implementation of the system is going to progress naturally. I think we should advocate for the system. I don't agree with authoritative rule of saying, hey, let's destroy all these corporations, eat the rich, and then put the people in power. No, I think we should do it naturally through education.
So
because it's by definition better.
Okay, so I guess one of the more familiar versions of market socialism that I've heard is that it mandates that within some time frame that each existing company be converted into a co-op, or be converted into some collectively owned worker-owned business.
I'd be fine with that. Yeah. I mean, I'm arguing for market socialism because it's better than capitalism. Yeah.
Okay, so
which is what the debate's about.
Okay, so you're not necessarily arguing for that. You're arguing for a system in which education leads us to.
I'm arguing. So if we look at the idea of market socialism for capitalism as a theory in the basis of what they are, one is just vastly superior, and that's market socialism. In every aspect, it's just better. So I think we should increase education on that.
Okay, so what if we have education? If people are being educated on why we should go into co-ops, but we don't have co-ops don't take over. What about then? So is it just, let me just, to get this clear, is your proposal that if we were to educate people on the efficacy of co-ops, then they would naturally take over the market?
They naturally. So I think unironically, I think it's the same idea with stuff like things in the past, like the civil rights movement and stuff like that. It was okay. Hey, if we advocate for these things, if we increase education, they're obviously going to want to be changed in the public opinion, and also democracy. I think there could 100% be a legislation saying, hey, you can no longer create these means of production owned by a single entity. You have to have it owned by the workers. I think legislation like that could 100% happen, but I think the best way to get through that is through education and awareness of the idea.
So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if you a proposal is simply you seem to be kind of approaching each of those options as possible, that you would
Of
consider.
course. I like
Yeah.
this way more than anything else. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you're not going to go down the route of any of either specific.
Wait, what do you mean? I can go. Wait, what do you mean? Not
Wait. So you seem to have been proposing two different options. So option number one is that market socialism comes to be through having educated the populace such that they are
no. So right. Okay. So let me wait. So you seem to go. You seem to got completely off topic. So right now we're debating just the theory and essence of market socialism, the one that I've given, versus capitalism. I can go into what I think is possibly going to happen when we actually make this transition, just like the same thing that happened with feudalism to capitalism. I can go into what's going to happen. It's going to happen naturally. And it's going to happen with people saying, "Oh, we're going to incorporate this into our government procedures," and then it's going to take over. I can talk about that, but right now we're not talking about that. We're talking about the theory of capitalism versus the theory of market socialism. I've given you every definition you need. Why can't we have this discussion?
I'm trying to talk to you about it. You seem to be.
You're talking about like you're going way into like policy. Can we talk like theory?
No. I'm asking you. I want you to explain to me what market socialism that you want. If you want. No, saying that worker-owned means of that is incredibly vague. That's communicating.
Wait. You didn't bring up exactly. So if there is a company, I want the company to be able to be owned by the workers through democratic representation in the workplace. Of course.
So I'm asking you, what version of market socialism that you are proposing? You giving me vague statements. I'm going to ask
vague statement have I given you?
And you are going to answer them, right?
What
so if
vague statement have I given you?
You've just, like, when I asked you what market socialism is, normally people lay out, so let me give an example of, like, somebody who were to lay out what market socialism they want. Normally, that would include actually explaining what it is that they want.
I want the workers to own the means of production. I don't think that's that hard.
Excuse me, I was talking. Thank you.
Sorry.
An example of that would be a common one that I see proposed is just to give you an example of what specifics people may want. Co-ops, such that within some time frame, all existing companies must succumb to becoming co-ops where they're effectively owned by the workers.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let me cut the idea of I'd be perfectly fine with the idea of it being mandated because I think it should be mandated, except I don't like the idea of revolution to make it mandated. I like mandated worker co-ops, but I think we should get there through a natural progression.
Yes,
mandated worker co-ops.
Yeah. So you do want mandated work because before you seem to be proposing that we would have a system where there's just education of co-ops, and so co-ops would naturally.
That's good. So to get the mandated co-ops, that's to get into legislature. To get into legislature, you need education.
To stimulate a legislative movement to establish market socialism where there's mandated co-op.
No, not in the slightest. So you misinterpret what I said. So when I say education, I think we just increase like the K through 12 like education system, and that naturally leads to progression of things like market socialism. Because guess what? If we go into theory, which is what I've been doing all the time, market socialism essentially, so we can go into worker-owned means of production versus personal means of production. And what I've given for my opening statement that you seem to just disregard is the idea of, say, a monarchy versus a democracy. And how do democracies get into system? Through education. Not people saying democracy is good and brainwashing, but simply just education. People going, wait, I want to say in how these things work. Therefore, allowing these things to progress. I'm not advocating for a class that says this is why market socialism. I'm advocating for increased education.
Can you explain how you just said is different from what I just described?
It seemed like you were implying that you would essentially go into a class saying market socialism and then learn about it and then say this is why it should be beaten over capitalism.
Okay, so you seem to have just described exactly what I was describing, where education is used to, like you said, you gave the example of monarchies, where we got away from monarchies by educating people on what the other options are and what we should do instead. So you seem to be proposing that we use education to stimulate a legislative movement to achieve market socialism.
No, we educate based on facts and reasoning, and then that naturally progresses toward market socialism.
What discrepancy is there between what I just said and what am I implying by education?
Oh yes, you're implying by education. It could be something wrong. Yes.
Wait, so this seems really semantical. So
exactly, I want to go into the theory, and you're not wanting to do that.
No, you're just like kind of playing with irrelevant particulars.
Wait, you're the one that keeps bringing it up, dude. I don't even want to be on this.
I'm asking you to explain what your position is.
I explained it. A worker-owned means of production through things like mandation, but that's going to progress naturally through education. We haven't even talked about market socialism.
That it means nothing, okay? I just want you to explain what you want, okay? We haven't gotten to explaining what version of market socialism you want, and this should have been pretty easy.
I'm curious. Why do you have to go through a template of what my argument is? Why can't you just go off my argument?
Because I want you to explain your argument. You haven't
Okay,
explained any.
okay, we're gonna go one step at a time. Don't worry, we're gonna go one step because you're going so slow. Okay, so we're gonna go one step at a time. What is confusing about the worker-owned means of production? What's confusing about that?
There's nothing confusing about it.
Then why the fuck do you think that it's hard to understand my position?
I never said that it was hard to understand your position. I just want you to explain your position, and you haven't explained any specifics about your position. You're saying. Wait, yeah. So you gave me a super vague version of your explanation, which isn't.
Do you want me to go into like worker?
Wait,
do you want me to go
PFM. Can you argue against the worker?
If you don't know what it is, if you don't know what worker production is, I can go into it. Of course.
No.
If you're not educated on the subject matter, I can go into it.
No. So this is why I tried to give an example because you don't seem to be understanding what exactly, like how this should work. So the way that this should work is that you give me specifics on what it is that you want for market socialism. So when I said, dude, so when I asked you to explain your position, I didn't mean you to repeat the same general vague premise. That general vague premise doesn't communicate anything to me about what you want other than that vague general premise.
We have to slow down. We have to slow down because you're going into something that this debate isn't about. So I'm going to bring up what I think a market socialist society is, and that's essentially the worker-owned means of production. After I bring that up, we're going to have a discussion about why you think there should be worker-owned means of production, or there should be fucking personal, like private means of production, like owned by the individual, compared to workers. So when we can go into that. So do you disagree that workers should own the means of production? I don't have to give you a theory. Do you disagree that workers should own the means of production? Yes or no?
I absolutely do disagree, yeah.
Okay, now let's go into that. Why do you disagree with the worker-owned means of production in something like a business?
Wait, we're talking about like OmniFlow's proposal of market socialism, right? So market socialism, like I was trying to describe to you before, market socialism can mean so many different things.
What is this pivot? Talk about what I'm talking about.
I've been asking you this whole time to explain your position, and you're absolutely refusing to.
No, I did explain my position. My position is extremely concise. So I think I love free markets, and I just think that workers should own the means of production instead of a private ownership means of production.
Okay.
Literally.
So okay, great.
So now that we have my position, we're going to go into what the differentiating factors are.
No. That is not a version of market socialism. That's giving me a super vague, meaningless claim. It means nothing.
Wait, how is that not a version of how are you weaving this into such a debate that has no relevance to what we're talking about?
I'm literally just asking you to explain. So look. Wait. So let me just give you an example of how somebody would explain what they want with market socialism. Last time you just interrupted and took it off into some tangent. So I'm just going to explain because normally we would have something where we would explain our positions and not just give vague claims that mean nothing.
My position.
Okay, so I'm going to give an example. So let's say that I am someone who wants market socialism. I want a system where we have mandated co-ops, and I want a system where all businesses within the companies, within the system, must be collectively owned by the workers, aka co-ops. What does that mean? That means that each person has an equal amount of ownership. Or you could have the proposal that some people think that some people may have different.
Why are you going off of ownership? Okay, so now that you've given,
I'm just asking you to explain your position.
Okay, now let me respond. Okay, yeah, guess what? That, in an essence, besides the whole mandate, which I'm fine with, is my position. If you want, what? How could you not contrive that from the worker-owned means of production? I could, if you just didn't know what that meant, I could have explained it to you. But it seems like you knew exactly what that meant, but you just didn't want to go into it.
So you understand
worker-owned means of production? Yes, that has a single meaning.
Oh, so this is like, I don't know why you're having. So normally when I speak, you don't speak. Like normally you would not.
That's what I said.
So you understand that having worker-owned means of production can be implemented and proposed in different ways, right? That can mean different things depending on what the particulars are, right?
No.
Wait, can I suggest something?
Wait, so all systems are the same? All systems where the workers are collectively owned are the same?
When I say,
oh my God, both of you really be quiet right now. Okay, so what's happening right now is you guys are going PFM. It seems like you don't want to debate him on workers' own production, which is like the only point Autumn is bringing up. So is there any way you can just debate him on that so we continue on with this debate?
Yeah. So I just want him to answer my questions, and he's refusing. So
what?
Dude, so I'm just asking him how he wants this market socialism to work, because it can work so many different ways. Yeah, so his proposal that me describing it this way means
wait. If his explanation is so smart, why don't you?
Excuse me. Let me finish, please. So I was answering your question, why I can't do this. Okay. So the reason that this has been an issue is because when I ask him what he means, then he there's so many different ways that market socialism can exist, right? So when you say worker-owned means of production, that can mean a million different things. So for me to attack his argument, I have to understand what version of that, how he wants that to be proposed. So that can mean that everyone in the country has different degrees of it. That can mean that
I understand, but can you do that through individual questioning? Why does he have to summarize
everything?
everything?
Wait, PFM, it's my turn. Okay, so essentially what we're going to be talking about is we've already gotten to a disagreeing factor that we could have went into, and why someone disagrees with this and someone disagrees with this, but PFM didn't want to go there. We already talked about why we both disagree, or he disagrees the fact that workers should own the means of production. I agree that workers should own the means of production. So when we've gotten to that disagreement, I then go, all right, why do you think this is the way you do? And he says, no, give me policy. Give me a way to implement this. He's just completely fucking dodging whatever I bring up.
Okay, we understand that. Okay, what seems like to me right now is that Omni, you have a very clear-cut definition of market socialism that PFM clearly does not want you to elaborate on. But if there's not more to elaborate, I think just focus.
That's just it. So when I say
wait. So if there's nothing to elaborate on, you have no argument. Okay. If you just have
J. This is mine. So I want you to ask. So if you think that means of production is too abstract, ask me clarifying questions. I 100% answer. I think there's really only one way that workers can own the means of production.
Wait. So I've been trying to ask you clarifying questions. You just haven't really.
No. You've been saying, hey, give me your position, which I will not change my position.
I've been asking. So first I tried to ask
you. If you don't understand it, I can clarify it for you.
No. It's not that I'm misunderstanding. It's that you haven't explained it yet.
To me, saying worker means of production is explanation in and of itself.
Wait, so
I don't understand why can't you debate on
PFM, what are you confused about when I say worker means of production?
I'm not confused by anything. You just haven't explained it.
Wait, then why are we not having a debate right now? If you're not confused by anything, you understand what I'm saying.
Can you please let me answer a question? You keep interrupting before I try to. So okay, look. So when I say that like you saying I want worker-owned means of production.
Yes.
That applies to so many different versions.
So what's confusing about you?
I can attack your argument if you don't give an argument. You saying I want worker-owned
Omni, let him speak.
I want specifics,
I understand the question. Yeah, what are like the systems and means of production that I'm arguing?
Okay, so let's just do this thing where I ask you specific questions and then you don't complain that I'm confused or complaining about how confused I am.
Oh my fucking god, that was literally my point. Oh my god. Okay, no. This is what's going to happen, PFM.
I'll ask you questions and you won't complain about how confused I am.
This is about worker-owned means of production, right? Let's get it.
Okay, good. Please, thank God.
All right, so let's just go over this again. So how do they become worker-owned? How do you transition from capitalism to
usually it would be through something like a regulation to mandate it, but that would be through education, a long process.
Education and
that also has nothing to do with means of production, but whatever.
So any specifics just don't matter, or what?
Wait, what do you mean? So, oh god, let's continue with the line of reasoning. Let's continue with the questions, but I just want to address that one thing that you just said. So you just said, how do we implement the worker-owned means of production? That means you have to have a basis for what you think the worker-owned means of production is. So for you to ask that question, you're already under a presupposed idea of what this is. You keep claiming you don't know what it is. So anyway, keep going with your questions.
I was just
keep going with your questions, buddy. Okay, you got that.
We just PFM, do you understand PFM, honestly, do you understand what the workers' means of production is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, then we can either debate that, or you can keep asking me these questions.
So vague, dude. Do you understand how vague that is?
Then keep asking me the questions.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So you would want this to be done through mandated worker co-ops, right?
Yes, to an extent.
So now, will you restrict that that the ownership? Obviously, it is going to be owned among the workers. Wait, am I cutting out because my green thing isn't showing up?
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's weird. 1 second.
You're good now.
Okay. Hopefully it won't cut out. Yeah. So you obviously want that. So would you say that everyone obviously is going to have some degree? It's going to have some degree of reduction, right?
Yeah.
So do you want everyone to have an equivalent amount, or can there be varying degrees of ownership of equity in the company?
One person is one, so it's essentially a fraction. So if there's 6,000 people in the owner, they are one of 6,000. There is no more, no less.
Okay, yeah. So you will have an equal amount of ownership. So people within the system cannot buy.
There is no
ownership
trading
off
of
the-
stocks in my market socialism.
Wait, so I just meant normally when we say buying stocks, we mean like within the stock market. I'm saying like if I want to buy the ownership off of my car, can I do that?
No.
No.
There's no stock
Wait,
trade when it comes to a market
Well,
society.
what if they? Okay, so why not? Why not? Why can't
Because if you own this company, if you trade it away and you still work there, you are then a worker without the means of production.
Yeah, but what if they want to do that?
They can't.
Why not?
Through regulation, usually.
Yeah, but why? I don't mean normally when we refer to it's independent of whether or not you work at the company. So whether or not you work at the company is normally relevant. In this case, or is normally irrelevant. In this
I don't
case,
care about capitalist stock market. No.
Yeah, obviously. That's why I was
Yes,
clarifying.
because it doesn't exist in a market socialist society. In every market socialist society.
Okay, great. So I was just like obviously. So that's why I.
Don't worry, these are still clarifying, right? And then we can go to actually the actual debate. Don't worry.
Excuse me. Could you please let me finish a sentence? That'd be awesome.
What sentence? You were done.
So yeah, so I was just mentioning that because obviously the fact that we have a stock market currently where you have trades of stocks that are working for the company, that would obviously not exist. Like, of course, that wouldn't be worth. Yeah, that obviously wouldn't exist. But I'm asking you specifically, if I am someone who wants to sell my stock,
that would not be allowed because it doesn't exist in the company. Simply because if you sold your stock in the company, you no longer be an owner of the company. Therefore, the worker-owned means of production would not exist.
Wait, so, but why?
Because then, why not? Because that's the system you're in. You don't ask a capitalist, well, why?
No, I'm just asking you, like, if the person, I understand. Like, I understand that this like the dynamic here, but if you are, I guess, like, the question is, if the workers want to, like, if they,
dude, why? Holy shit! Okay, I'm going to interject right now because you've asked this. Because I'm going to interject right now because you've asked the same question 3 times, trying to pimple me on something you like want to get me in a gotcha or something. We are going to.
Stop. Do you have any like distinct?
I'm going to now talk because it's been this attack on market socialism, but we're not talking about just attack on market socialism. We're talking about market socialism versus capitalism. Why do you think that market socialism, worker means of production, it seems like none of those clarifying questions that they were supposed to be actually went into the idea of the means of production? They were meant to actually go into a system that was created because of the means of production. So now that we go into this actual debate on something like the means of production, why do you think that singular owned means of production based on a personal account is better than a worker owned means of production? Once we answer that, we can go into this actual debate. Because you've been pivoting, you've been dodging, you've been going away from the actual topic. You've been saying, I'm asking clarifying questions, when the clarifying questions have nothing to do with means of production, have everything to do with, say, a system that I'm not necessarily proposing. I'm proposing the idea of a market socialist idea based on the theory of labor theory of value and means of production held by the ownership or worker ownership.
Okay. So I like, when I was trying to ask those questions, you would just kind of redirect it to saying, like,
okay, so now,
okay, dude, please, like, this, I let you go on for 2 minutes, okay? So normally the way this would work is that you would let me speak, okay? So that'd be awesome. Okay, so, like, going back to this clarifying questions. So then, just to be clear, what incentives? So since everyone has an equivalent degree of ownership of the means of production. So just to ask real quick, so will there be managers in your system?
I'm going to ask you a question because I answered a few years
ago.
No. I asked you a question. It's my turn now.
That's not how that works.
Wait, okay, so let's go into this. Because this is fucking crazy.
When I asked you a question and we agreed that you would explain what your version of market socialism is.
Yes,
You're actually not going to. You're actually not going to explain what it is.
So I was I was explaining. So what I was explaining was that I think my definition of market socialism, I'm not necessarily going into the whole, what would actually happen? I'm arguing the theory of, say, which would be better. I'm not the one that dictates the policy change. I'm not the one that goes through the thousands of hours to actually get these economic calculations to why this way would work this way, this way. I can give an abstract idea, but I can't go to extremely specifics. But I can talk about the theory of why market socialism is going to be 100% better in every single aspect when it comes to capitalism. Now, if we're going to talk theory, we can. If we're going to talk policy, I don't want to talk policy based on the idea of something that could be spent through hours and hours of actually rehabilitation through a government process or, say, a legislature through a company process. We're going to talk about the theory when it comes to market socialism versus capitalism. I'm not here to give you the fundamental idea as to why, this company should run in X way because it's the most abstract, it's the most beneficial idea for this solution. And if this scenario exists that you're not going to accept simply because you're under this market framework in the capitalist society, I can't answer those. So we're going to stick to theory, because I haven't gone thousands of hours into going, okay, this hypothetical situation that I've answered doesn't work in this capitalist scenario, because I don't care about the capitalist scenario. I care about the market social scenario. No, there would no be trading of equity in this market social scenario because there would be no stocks. You do not necessarily have equity. You are essentially a part of a business. You have the equal ownership of the business, and then everything is redistributed through a democratic process in that business. If you have any questions about clarifying what the means of production mean, I will gladly go into that. But right now, we're going to talk about the capitalist difference in means of production when it comes from a private ownership versus a worker-owned ownership. Now, can we go into that debate?
Oh, so just to be clear, when you say you want market socialism, you have no idea what you want when you say you want.
So did you ignore everything I said? No. Wait. Okay. So you asked me a question. Let me answer. So you asked me, I have no idea what. No, I can give you actually a lot of stuff of what I want. I think the workers should own the means of production. I think it should be a government system inside those different these firms that are created. I think that they should maybe be legislated through the idea of education and just public exposure. I think that when we have different companies, there should have to be free trade. I like all of these ideas. But when you say, do you think you trade equity? And I say, no, I don't. And then you go, well, why? I'm not going to answer why when it comes to, why in a capitalist sense, because I'm not arguing from a capitalist sense. I'm arguing from a market socialist sense. When we have equity in the forms, it's not really equity. You're an owner of the company in a co-op.
So if you have a coherent understanding of how you want market socialism to work, you would easily be able to answer questions.
I did, and you said in this capitalist
excuse me, please let me finish. So you see how you just interrupted what I said for the 50th time? This is not going to work if you continue doing it.
You asked me a question. There wasn't.
No, you didn't let me finish the question. You didn't let me finish the question.
I'll take like 2 minutes or like a minute and just explain all your refutations to what he
Go
believes
ahead,
in.
buddy.
Okay? Please just stop trying to like circle.
He hasn't explained the argument, bro. So I don't know what you want me to refute.
What's your inherent problem with like arguing workers owns a production?
Well, I mean, like, I think that the issues, the issues with market socialism largely depend on how it's being implemented, and how it's being implemented has not been explained by Omni at all.
Wait.
He has literally just said it's the collective ownership of means of production. He's giving no version of how he wants to explain it.
One question. I'm sorry. One question.
Can you stop screaming, please?
Sorry.
It's
so pivotal. It's so pivotal. It's crazy. So if that's the case, then you agree that market socialism is better than capitalism. It's something to be implemented.
No. So I'm saying, there's market socialism A, market socialism B. What issues they have depend on which version of it is.
I'm curious.
Whether or not excuse me. Please let me finish.
Okay,
you see how this keeps happening?
It's just
so
much time, but let's go.
This is not going to work if you keep interrupting, dude. This is not how debates work.
Just please hurry it up.
This is not how this is supposed. Okay, so all right. So are you going to let me finish? Because if you interrupt me again,
wasting time. Go.
Bro, okay, so market socialism A has a set of problems. Market socialism B has a set of problems. Market socialism C has a set of problems. Market socialism A, B, C, D, I want to know which one you want. And depending on which one you want, by the way, this does not imply that market socialism as a whole is superior to capitalism as a whole. This just means that this is a nuanced conversation in which there are issues particular to a particular set of prescriptions that you have. You have not really. I asked you a simple question. Are there managers in your version of market socialism? And you redirected to asking me about capitalism. I asked the most simple question. So can we get back to me asking you the most simple question?
I will PFM. Okay, I will give you 10 minutes of. I'll give you a shit ton of questionnaire time, and I will 100% answer those. But we have to go into why I redirected, quote unquote, to your capitalist idea, because right now we have been dodging the actual debate. Right now we've been going into. All right, what form of market socialism do you support? I said, I have like a.
Okay, so clearly what's happening is y'all are circling, alright? PFM does not want to, like, discuss workers' means of production. OmniFlow clearly can't describe more of market socialism in order for PFM to debate this. So, if you guys are not willing to go move forward, and I think the better option is just to fucking, like, debate about the workers owning the means of production. If you guys are not willing to go forward with that, then I think we should just stop the debate.
Bullshit. Jagu, shut the fuck up. So you say stop the debate, but no, I can go into shut dude. Wait, so I can go into these problems. I can go into my idea of market socialism, and I can answer the questions of managerial staff, but that's going to take up literally the entire fucking debate. We're not talking actual theory. PFM, yes, I would love to answer the question. Will there be managers? Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. That's awesome.
If we want this to turn into just 50 questions with OmniFlow about what their market socialist experience will be, we can turn into that. But then you've dodged the actual debate and you've turned it into let's question about what this is an educational system about what market socialism is.
Wait,
so let's go.
No. I'm not trying to understand what market socialism is. I want to understand what OmniFlow's version of market socialism is.
Given it.
It should have been really easy to explain what Omni's version of
you're right. It 100% is
let me finish,
easy.
please. Excuse me.
Sorry, buddy.
You see how I keep doing this, dude? This is not a conversation.
Go ahead, buddy.
So normally you would let me finish a sentence and then we would go back and forth. Okay, so all right, cool. Okay, so if let me just ask you, since obviously you do have managers in your version of market socialism, what is the incentive? Are they elected democratically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the incentive of a manager to become a manager?
I don't know, dude.
Because,
what's the incentive of a manager in a capitalist society to become a manager? I'm curious.
Well, normally, your incentive to work at the company is not dependent. Did I cut out? I don't know if I cut out in a minute. Did I cut out?
Just answer the question, dude.
Just keep going.
Did I cut out?
Dude, answer the question.
If you are cutting a little bit, but like, you're fine now. Just keep talking.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So like normally in a capitalist, the manager's compensation does not depend on the equity within the system, the equity that he has in the company. When you describe this system of market socialism, you would be claiming that you would have an equivalent degree of equity within the company for each owner, for each member. And
so when we say your first problem with this is when you say equity, it sounds like you're kind of conflating it with like wages, right? Is that what you're doing?
No, not at all.
No. Okay. So guess what? So when we talk equity, everyone has a shared equity, i.e. they are all members of this company. The wages is different. If you become a manager, it's to get paid. It's to make it so you manage the workers underneath you, and then you are, or not even necessarily underneath you, you manage the workers that you are to manage, and then after that, you get paid if your company does well. That is the incentive to become a manager, just like the incentive to become a manager in a capitalist society.
You possibly know that whether I cut out or if I didn't say.
No. As in you said, you repeated the same thing 3 times, but keep going.
PFM?
Yeah.
Alright.
Like unplugging.
Repeat the last sentence.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the so in your system, because you have an equivalent degree of ownership for each employee, the investment that you have in the company is because obviously your portion of ownership of the company is dependent on the value of the company, and that has some degree of value, right?
No, your portion of ownership stays the exact same unless you hire more. Your portion of ownership stays the exact same unless you hire more.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know. I'm saying like it's dependent on the value of the company, right?
Your ownership? No, it doesn't.
No.
Wait, your ownership stays the same. What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Do you know what ownership is?
Wait. So hold on. So if the company becomes more valuable, like if the company,
you have the exact same amount of ownership. Yes.
I'm not. Wait, dude. Are you conflating the percentage of ownership and the value of that ownership?
What do you mean value of ownership? Are you saying so? Just because I'm an owner, I am now valued more? And like if my thing does more, I'm valued more? What does that mean? You mean get paid more?
Wait, so
you could?
Wait, dude. So when you have a normally private equity in a company has some value associated with it, right? So
based on how the company's doing, yeah.
Wait, so just to be clear, your ownership in the it only functions as it has no financial function. It only functions
No, you get
Or-
paid by your wage, and you own the company with everyone else.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not
Okay.
hard to understand, yet you keep trying.
Okay, so again, so if the company becomes more valuable, if the company is performing better,
You might make more, yeah.
excuse me, let me finish. So if the company is doing better, if the value of the company goes up, depending on the performance of the company, does the value of your ownership go up?
No, you want to know why? Let me explain. So it seems like you're under this capitalist ownership idea where equity has a value, where you could buy and sell people's equities in a company because a company is doing better. That is not market socialism. Your equity as an owner doesn't increase because there is no value attributed to equity of an ownership in a market socialist society. There is value attributed to the work done, i.e., if your company is succeeding, usually what happens is either put into expansion properties or people make more money. Your equity doesn't increase because there is no equity. I answered this before, yet you keep going back to it because you want to get away from capitalism because you realize how inherently wrong it is and stick to something that I know something about. So could you please stop asking your clarifying questions and can we go toward the means of production?
Okay, cool. Furthermore, obviously the profits, an advantage that you see in market socialism is that the profits are beholden to the workers and not the capitalists, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the salary or the compensation of the worker depends on the performance of the company, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So if the performance of the company, it depends on the performance of the company. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, I can. If the value of the performance of the company derives from wages, if the company does bad, will they make less? Yes.
Yeah, of course. So that suggests that the profits are going to be divvied up, but each person's going to have an equivalent amount of ownership.
Yes.
So then a manager doesn't have a high degree of ownership in the.
So now we're going into what market socialism is that you have no idea what it is. So a democratic workplace, you vote for people to be in different situations that essentially distribute what ought to be done in a usual business. You know, you vote on someone to be able to be the wage distributor, so they distribute wages to the different people. You vote on someone to be the representative, or you could just be a direct democracy. I don't really care, whatever works the best for that specific company. And that's how wages. You don't have to have the same wage as everybody to be in a co-op. You simply just have to be a shared owner of the company.
Okay, so just to be clear, your version of market socialism would have co-ops where all the decisions, the business decisions being made are going to be made democratically.
That could be the case. It could be made in a republic.
Yeah. So how do we differentiate between managerial decisions?
You wait. So that's like saying, oh, should I vote for somebody to press a button on a cashier? No, essentially, you vote someone to be able to make the correct decisions as a manager. You vote for someone to be able to make the correct decisions as a wage creator. You vote for these types of people basing the idea that they're able to make decisions. You don't have to vote on every managerial position. That's a completely arbitrary, or that's completely a surface level idea of what market system is. And actually, I'm kind of happy you're asking these questions because obviously you know nothing about it.
You know the cool part about this is that you saying you know nothing about it when you proposed it means it explains it, then that suggests that your original claim that all of these things.
Please get back to the topic. You're pivoting so hard right now. It's crazy.
Dude, you can't just interrupt me every time I speak. This is not how debates work, bro.
I try to catch you when you pivot.
PFM, just say what you need to.
Excuse me, moderator. Could you please stop him from interrupting me every time? That'd be awesome. That's only how moderators do things. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. So these things, everything that we just discussed will be implicated simply by saying the worker-owned means of production.
Yes, literally.
Wait, so somebody couldn't.
Let me explain. You asked me a question.
There we go. Let PFM talk. Thanks. Cool. All right. Cool. Let PFM talk. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah. You answer the question. I'm gonna ask another question. Okay. All right. Cool. So I asked you. So then all these things. So it would not be possible for somebody to also want market socialism, but have different prescriptions.
What prescriptions would be different under what I describe versus what somebody else would describe as means of production? I'm curious.
Wait, so they could have different versions of how they want managers to work?
Please tell me how that doesn't get encompassed in means of production when I just go into specifics about what I would like. Doesn't mean a company can't do that. As long as a company could 100% say every single worker votes on the managerial productions. A company could 100% do that. That doesn't mean it's a different version of means of production. It just means that somebody interprets it in a different way that is still overall connected, and I'm perfectly fine with it in the idea of a means of production society. I'm giving you probably what I would give as the most efficient one, but every single one that you've given, this idea that, people would vote on the managerial decisions could 100% be encompassed in my definition. I'm way better with that than any capitalist society.
All right. I just need like a louder mic or something because I was that way. Yeah, you interrupted me again. I don't know. I'm a little bit perplexed as to how I'm supposed to have a debate speak. I was just proposing maybe I should have a louder mic or something because that seems to be my best solution right now. So yeah, you don't think that there is okay, cool. So I personally think that it's possible. Wait, just to be clear, when you say like worker-owned means of production, that would be encompassed under all these versions of market socialism. That would remain true for all these versions. But how it is implemented, I didn't disagree with that. I never disagreed with that. You just implied that I didn't. You seem to be misunderstood. That's okay. You misunderstood my point. But I never really said anything that would contradict that. I was just trying to explain what exactly. I was trying to understand what exactly your version of it is.
Okay. Can I respond, please? Because this is the most important part.
All right, cool. So you're just at this point, I've just accepted you're not gonna you don't really have much of an argument. You're not explaining your argument. You're just gonna vaguely have the means of production. You're not really interested in the specifics at all.
Can I please say something?
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna move on now. We're gonna move on now because you have clearly accepted that you're uninterested in any of the specifics of market socialism.
See, this will get you really quick. So I will encompass all of the definitions of means of production in my argument. You could attack any single one, and I can 100% explain it. That is way better than any capitalist one, based on the idea through the exploitation of labor and the coercion of the government system we're in.
I'm sorry, this all sounds like you're circling back to the same question again.
All right, cool. Like no, I was trying to move on. I was trying to move on because he's not answering anything. I was just trying to. Yeah, you're right.
Did you name a single thing I didn't answer?
Excuse me. Could you let me finish?
I think. Okay, I mean, just
wait. Just I want. Wait. Can you answer? Can you tell me a single thing I didn't answer? Can you tell me a single thing? Can you tell me a single thing I didn't answer?
Well, I was going to ask you. I originally
can you name a single thing I didn't answer? Not going to ask.
Excuse me. You just asked me to give you a question that I didn't answer, and then when I started to answer, you interrupted me. What do you want? Do you want me to answer the question? Do you not want me to answer the question?
So I could actually talk about. So I said, could you give me a single? Could you give me a single question that I didn't answer? And then you said, I want to ask.
It's been 45 minutes, and this hasn't advanced.
I know.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to move on.
I begged you to just debate
wait, so this would have gone by way faster if
in 45 minutes, none of you have came up with a rebuttal for any points.
No, I've come up with 45 minutes. Wait, I can come up with multiple rebuttals.
You made up rebuttals. Rebuttals. All you did is an explanation.
This should have taken 10 minutes if you didn't either dodge the question or just not answer me.
What question have I dodged? What question did I not answer?
Or interrupt me. I meant to say interrupt me. Really adamant about interrupting me. I don't know if his mic is way louder and I'm just not being aggressive enough, or normally because I just haven't been able to finish the sentence. So I apparently he's uninterested in explaining the details. So we'll move on. So let's go back.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do want to move on.
PFM,
okay. Can I rephrase the debate then? Can we please debate on just the workers going to the question?
I finish, please. This shouldn't be that hard, dude.
All right, let PFM speak. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, since we have I was just gonna say that yes, this has gone on for 45 minutes. Oh, you muted him. That's awesome. Appreciate that. We have been going on for 45 minutes, and this could have lasted, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, but there's been so much thing. This would have been much easier. We can move on because this is going nowhere.
So what would you like to discuss?
Excuse me. I was getting to that. Okay,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So what benefits are there in your system where there's no trade of capital, because you're obviously proposing a system in which there's no trade of capital, where you don't have people don't have the ability to trade it at all. It's set that you have X amount as in X percentage of your ownership. What are the benefits of that?
Oh yeah, of course. The benefits of that is getting rid of the exploitation of the average worker. That's like one of the biggest points of Marxist socialism.
Oh, so how are they being exploited? Can you
Are
explain?
they being exploited? Oh yeah, of course. And this is what comes to means of production. So when we go into Marx, are you aware of the labor theory of value?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not necessarily a modified one, but I only go to the extent of labor. So I believe that there's a simple equation that can be represented for the labor theory of value. There are going to be 4 essentially variables. It's going to be n plus m is going to equal a p. So n plus m is going to equal a profit, or a profit essentially. So n is going to be the tools used to create this instrument, and then m is going to be used as the labor used to create this instrument. So when we go into this, is going to be tools used plus labor used is going to get the profit, or that's going to be the profit of the produce, and then that is essentially going to turn into money or some valuable thing that is going to then be given back to the ones that produce it. The ones that produce it are first going to get rid or add up for the tools used to produce, therefore getting rid of that, and the rest is going to be distributed amongst the workers. But what happens in a capitalist society is that doesn't happen. What happens is the tools are used to be replaced, and then a bit of that profit that should be going back to the workers is being scraped off and give it to this capital owner who does actually no work. They simply just invest that is not working. They don't add any labor. They just add the tools usually, and then they get 20% of the 50% of the profit, and that is by definition exploitation.
So it's exploitation because there is essentially there's to put it in the Marxist terms, there's surplus value being extracted from the labor.
Of
right?
course.
Yeah, so all the fun stuff. So can I just ask, why are they entitled to that surplus value?
Because of the labor they produced.
Well, why are they entitled to it?
Because it was produced through their labor. Why is the capitalist entitled to it?
Wait, but it exists through voluntary exchanges that have.
Wait, PFM. So we have to go through this two-step process. So you ask me, well, why are the laborers entitled to it? I say, well, simply because it is the labor's work that produces this product. And now I'm going to ask you, why is the capitalist entitled to it?
What is that?
Why is the capitalist entitled to it?
So it exists. He's entitled to it because that was the. So they agree.
What'd you say?
Oh, damn it. He's entitled to it because this is the agreement. Did I cut out again?
Yeah, but I can guess it's the agreement given.
Wait, you're gonna guess what I said?
Yeah, you're saying it's the agreement, right?
Wait. I'm gonna try to switch to my phone. So let me see if this works.
Oh my fucking god! Please don't. No, I can guess.
You're just gonna guess my arguments?
I can tell you if I'm right or wrong. It's the agreement between the two parties, which is a beneficial exchange.
Hold up. Let's do.
I'm gonna fucking shoot myself.
Okay, I'm gonna do a poll real quick on announcements. I think if y'all want, we can continue this debate further, so they can actually because I think we're finally getting to a good point of discussion.
I'm down to continue it. My brain is being fucking busted.
All right, cool.
Hey, PFM. All right, what were you saying, my guy?
Oh my god, we don't know Craig.
Why is the capitalist entitled to it and the worker not?
Wait, can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Wait, why does it? I don't see myself in this VC. This is weird.
You're in it. I don't care. I can hear you.
Omni, can we? Okay, after this, can we just go on DMs?
Yeah. So the capitalist is getting the surplus value as a result of the voluntary exchange that this is a manifestation of the agreement that him and the worker agreed upon.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't disagree at all. It is. But I think that is 100% exploitation of the worker. Because what work is the capitalist providing?
So the capitalist is providing a lot of things. So the capitalist is providing. I'm not really sure why. Let me just ask you. Do you think that? Okay, so the worker is foregoing risk in favor of security because he is getting a guaranteed X amount of compensation, regardless of the performance of the company. The capitalist has equity, so has some ownership in the company that is entirely dependent. They invested that, and they were risking their investment when they invested in the company. This could turn into nothing. Most companies, within a couple of years, turn into nothing.
So they are making an enormous risk with any private ownership has a colossal amount of risk associated with it. And so not only is the worker, they're not magically in this position where they can, quote unquote, exploit the worker. This is a position that has come through by voluntary exchange, where they are providing the service of the risk, and they're also making what are called entrepreneurial decisions, where they're directing the all these decisions about where capital goods and things are going to be allocated are made by the capitalists. So depending on who buys, who sells, these things are all going to be made by the capitalists. These things, the performance and the efficiency of companies is largely dependent on this done by the capitalists. If there was no buying it, which by the way, the growth, well, okay, so let's just say foundationally, do you think that stock markets contribute to growth? Do you think if we had no stock markets, then otherwise we would have a lesser degree of growth, or do you think that they have
I don't think it
some
might
function
be,
in the way of growth?
I don't necessarily think it would be lesser. I think it would. I think there's different aspects that could be traded out between the stock market trading and not. But I think to an extent it does contribute in the way capitalist does. But I don't think it necessarily makes it better than a social society, even in terms of growth.
That wasn't, yeah. So whether or not it's quote unquote better than a capitalist society is kind of independent of this premise. So
it contributes to growth, but also takes away from growth. Is what I would argue.
Okay, yeah. So growth in the respect that you seem to prefer. So then we would say that the capitalist serves some kind of, aside from just providing the investment that allows the company to exist in the first place. They're providing something in that respect. They're also taking on the risk. Would you agree that there is a large amount of risk associated with private ownership? This is just like
I want you to list your points off because I'm writing them down and I'm going to address every single one without hesitation. So do you have anything else? Because I'll address the risk argument in a little bit.
I was just asking to clarify. Wait, so all right, just go ahead and address the risk argument.
Okay, yeah. So you've only given 3 so far. Risk, where the allocation goes, and then like stocks and like the investment process, where they have to put in immediate investment, and then like where the the goods go, and then the risk the factor associated with it. And I ask you a clarifying question before I go into everything. The first one will be: do you think the workers have any risk?
Considering that, like we said in there originally, they are foregoing ownership in favor of work where they.
Okay, but do you think the workers have any risk? Yes or no?
No, they didn't incur any risk upon taking a job.
So I'm curious, what happens if?
Wait, it's the least.
Wait, please. That was
I didn't need
Omni, let PFM.
Hey,
so when I say that it doesn't have risk, I mean that it doesn't have risk in the way that we mean when we say risk in the context of this conversation. We don't mean risk in an absolute sense where if the company does poorly, I may get a pay cut or I may get laid off. We mean risk relative to the other option and where work. Excuse me.
Gotcha. Perfect. So what I would say to address
moderator, bro, can I? He asked me a question. You don't let me finish my answer, bro.
Wait, you did answer.
I didn't finish my answer. Do you just not want the rest of the answer, or did you just not answer?
Okay, I'm going to respond.
The answer.
Dude, you've been talking for so fucking long. So I'm going to now address the risk argument. Now that you've clarified that, oh yes, they don't necessarily have risk because if the company goes under, they lose their fucking job, which is a pretty big risk if you ask me. When your clarification of, oh, the capitalists do a lot of stuff. One of which
didn't let me finish. One
of which is risk associated to the company by having equity. That if the company goes under, you then lose all that equity value, and you're putting all these things into your company, and you're going to lose all that if it goes under. Yes, that's a risk that exists, but I'm going to ask a simple question, a rhetorical question that doesn't need to be answered. Why can't the worker also do that? Why can't the worker be the one to own, say, the company itself? So if the company goes under, they have risk. Why is it this wall barriered up between the capitalist owner and the worker where, only the capitalist can hold this risk and the worker would never want to do that? As we agree with, that's actually your clarification through my earlier process. Or earlier questioning was, yes, I think that it should be brought through education. I think once the worker is educated, I think this is a great idea where they're able to take this risk for the improved profits and the improved quality of life that comes with a worker co-op, especially in a market social society. Now I'm going to go on to the next point, the where allocation is. It's essentially going to be the exact same argument though. Yes, the capital owner dictates where the allocation goes. Heck, not even all the time they do. Sometimes they let others do it for them. But why can't the worker do this allocation? Why is it that the capitalist is the one to do this? Now, I know the common talking points are, oh, they're not educated enough. Well, as my previous statement, they can be educated enough. We didn't get progression through little single steps. No, we got it through multiple steps over a elongated period of time where people gradually progress into positions that help them. The third one's going to be stock and investment. I don't think you realize that investment opportunities still exist when it comes to market social society. People can still invest in a company and then just get money taken out. If I give a company $100,000 and I have an increase of 3% per year until they don't pay it, that's still an investment. That still exists in a market social society. Now, those are the 3 points that you laid out. I'm curious if you have any rebuttal to what I just said.
So I was just going to lead into the rest of the discussion by first defining what I mean when I say risk. You didn't let me finish. So I don't know why we went on, because I wasn't able to define what I mean when I say risk. When I say risk, when I say the worker isn't taking on any risk, the worker isn't taking on any risk because in a relative sense, relative to their alternative, they aren't taking any risk. So by the worker is foregoing risk in favor of security by getting a guaranteed X amount of money, assuming that the company doesn't go under. Obviously, both parties lose if the company goes under, then the worker is negatively affected. But that's not really, that doesn't measure risk, because that implies that they made a decision in which there was a negative outcome that they were foregoing. So they didn't. The worker is, in an absolute sense, there is risk to each person. But when I say risk, I mean in a relative sense. So the worker, relative to the capitalist, is taking on zero risk because they're not investing their company. Now, I guess normally when depending on how you define market socialism, because some person that comes to the company has to have some kind of ownership, and they're not just automatically arbitrarily given some ownership that has some value, they would have to buy equity into the company, because otherwise they're just arbitrarily given value for no particular reason. Like any portion of ownership is normally bought, so they would have to buy equity, and so they are taking on an additional risk. In a way, in a capitalist system, the risk is distributed to the capitalist, and in a socialist system, the risk is distributed. In this version of socialism, the risk is distributed amongst the workers. You ask, why can't the when I say risk, I mean relative risk, relative to the I just noticed my name's changed, but relative to the risk that the capitalist takes on, they're taking on none, because they didn't forego any decision that would take on more risk. The capitalist is foregoing the decision to be a worker, where they would be taking on less risk, because they wouldn't be losing their investment. This investment that allowed the company to exist, the company exists through some person taking it upon themselves to make an investment. And like I said, a majority of these companies fail. And so they're making an enormous risk. There's an enormous amount of risk. This is just like a basic financial fact of like finance, that like there's an enormous amount of risk associated with private ownership. And so just to clarify, when I say risk, I mean relative risk, not absolute risk. You're right. There is absolute risk for each party. So then I just ask you, do you think that it is a legitimate service for someone to provide to incur risk for another person? If they agree upon this exchange, can one person incur risk for another? Is that legitimate?
I think in the capitalist sense, yes, of course, but I'm not talking capitalist sense. I think you miss.
Wait,
so
no,
I'm
asking in general. I
think you misinterpreted what everything I just said. So yeah, in my clarification of what I was talking about when I went over risk, I even said, I think, yeah, the absolute risk doesn't really apply here when we talk relative risk. And you say, oh, look at all the capitalist does taking on this relative risk. Yeah. And then I asked another question asking, why can't the worker do that? You say something funny saying companies exist through some person taking on investment. Well, why can't a collective of people do
that? The reason that you're right. I did ignore your question, but the reason I ignored your question is that you didn't let me finish my original statement, where I was going to clarify what I mean by risk. The way that it was supposed to go is you asked me we were talking about risk, and I was going to define what I mean by risk. And me defining risk would lead into the rest of this conversation.
Okay.
You didn't let me finish. Excuse me, let me finish. This is why what we're talking about. So you didn't let me finish explaining what risk was, so I just explain what risk was and ignored what your questions were. Because for us to talk about what we mean when we say risk distributions, we have to understand what we mean when we say risk. We have to define it specifically. These are nuanced terms. Okay, so that's why I'm going.
Okay, gotcha. So you.
Okay. Do you want me to answer your question?
Wait. So now you just went. Wait. So now that you just talked, I'm going to talk. So yes.
You asked me a question, bro.
Wait, let PFM go on me.
Wait.
You asked. Do you want me to answer your question? Or you want me to answer your question?
Well, I was gonna connect it to.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that you don't want me to answer your questions. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. My bad.
PFM, just go.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, yeah. So you ask me, why can't the worker do that? And the cool part about capitalism is the worker can do that. I have no problem with the worker doing that, in which he voluntarily decides with one another to own the company collectively. In particular organizations in which it wasn't done voluntarily.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to address that. So the reason you brought up risk, so I can remind you, is in position of, oh, this is why the capitalist owner deserves this certain entity. And when we're talking about deserving, we're not talking ability to do so, which you brought it toward. The idea was, why does the capitalist deserve this profit, as we both agree exists? This say, hey, this produce exists. 50% of it goes back to pay off the tools. 50% should be redistributed amongst the workers. But for some reason, in a capitalist environment, 25% goes to the capitalist for doing nothing except providing the tools. That was the original prompt, and that's what we went into when you said, oh, this is why they deserve it, because of risk. So then I go into risk, and I say, oh, well, guess what? The workers can do that. Therefore, they deserve the profits that come from this produce. And then instead of actually addressing my point or connecting the two, you say, oh, well, they can in capitalism. No, I'm not saying if they can or cannot in capitalism. I'm saying that in capitalism, there exists an entity that takes from the worker based off of nothing, based off the idea that they contribute these like 4 things that a worker can also contribute. When we talk about the surplus value and why someone deserves it, I want to talk about that. I don't want to go to saying, oh, they can do that in capitalism. They can take on risk in capitalism. I'm not talking that. I'm saying what allows the capitalist owner to be able to take from the worker simply because they incur risk when a worker can also incur risk.
Yeah, so I don't arbitrarily make prescriptions about how this transaction should be done. I don't, whether or not if somebody decides that they would prefer, because again, you have the option of co-op. So this dynamic that exists where the capitalist is, quote, extracting the surplus value. Number one, the only reason that worker works and exists is because the capitalist has provided investments such that the means of production exists, such that the capital goods exist. So like this is what we mean when we say the factors of production. You have capital, labor, etc. Capital as a market. The capital goods need to exist before any other goods can exist. You need the means of production before you need anything else. This can only happen when there's some sort of investment being made. And so like this investment was made by the capitalists, and that is the reason why this company exists. And so I tried to ask you before whether or not. Excuse me. I was gonna.
Well, he made a point.
So,
can I address it?
Sure, whatever, dude.
Okay, yeah. So you made the point that hey, the only reason this company exists is because the initial investment brought upon by the capitalist.
No, that's not my point.
Wait, that's exactly what you said. Sorry, did I mishear you? What did you say?
No, I'm not making any weird justification about whether or not what the risk.
I'm not talking risk. I'm saying
entails.
investment. You said the only reason this capital.
Commodity you're taking a risk by making any investment. You realize that, right?
Okay, wait. I 100% realize that. But then you also said that the only reason the production exists is because of the capitalist initial investment, right? You said that. That's exactly what you said in the past. Like
that is what I said, but I wouldn't say that.
So let me address it. So you say that, but then we can get investment in a market socialist state, and guess what? The workers can get that investment. Say you have 5 billionaires, and then they happens in a work society. Why is it that only one person then gets to dictate the profit that they, or the surplus value that they can extract simply because they provided the initial investment? I don't think that's fair. You can also get investment opportunities through things like investors. Somebody can give you a loan, say $500,000, and then you just pay it back over time. That still exists. This idea that, oh, the reason the capitalist gets to take this is because they provide this initial investment, they provide risk, they get this the allocation of resources. All of those things can be done by the worker, and it has no dictation for why the capitalist deserves this extrapolated surplus value.
Yeah. So just to be clear, yeah, of course. So this system, I don't make any arbitrary proposals about. Just to be clear, I care that this dynamic where the person is taking on the risk has done this by making a voluntary exchange with someone else, and that is what they have agreed upon, that they believe is the whatever the best option may be. So this is what my central point was, is that I am not there to dictate what is and isn't a good voluntary exchange for people to make, because again, so to be clear, when I say that, like, oh, why can't the worker do that? It's not my place to say whether or not the worker should or shouldn't be doing that. It's my place for the society to make any set of decisions that they want. So that's why I ask you. You seem to be thinking that these companies have collectively agreed, such that the capitalist incurring risk is a legitimate service. This capitalist functions in a way. One element is incurring risk, and that is how our society functions. And people don't. Okay. People, given they voluntarily have done this, they don't seem to have a problem with it. So I ask you, since you, excuse me, this is okay. Yeah. So this leads into the question of, do you think that incurring risk is a legitimate service?
No. But anyway, so I'm going to now address your point.
So that was, I was just going to ask that question to lead into. So would you think that we should?
Can I address your points that you made?
My point was to establish whether or not
you said stuff about voluntary exchange.
Go on, bro. Go on. My point was to talk about like risk and whether or not that is. I was explaining why I think that it is a legitimate service. I believe that it's a legitimate service because people have voluntarily agreed that it be so. So I think that it's a legitimate service. You incur risk, and so I was asking you if you think it was a legitimate.
Yeah. So can I extrapolate on my answer?
So I was going to respond based on your reply.
Can I extrapolate on my answer?
Sure, go ahead. Elaborate on your answer.
Yeah, so I think risk can actually be serviceable when it comes to something like insurance. You know, like I offer you X amount of money, and if something happens, and I take on that risk and I pay it. Like I think that is a serviceable exchange. But a serviceable exchange of like when it comes to a workplace, of why you get to extrapolate the surplus value based on that risk that you take, which is this thing that you're providing. No, I don't think that's legitimate.
Wait. So. This is what I was just going to ask you about. It's funny that you mentioned insurance companies, because I was just going to ask you about that. Why is it valid for an insurance company to add to offer a service in the form of incurring risk, but it is not a valid service for a capitalist to do this?
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
What a worker, or what is the worker doing for the insurance company?
Wait, what?
Yeah, what's the worker doing?
For the insurance company?
let's break it up. The employee, or the employer and the
feels like a pivot.
The employer and the insurance company. They're both the entities we're talking about, and they both are giving some sort of risk for someone else, right?
No, I meant the sure.
So I want you to follow with me. And then they offer a service for the employee. For the employer, it's the employee. For the service company, it is the person that is buying their service, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to know what the fundamental difference is?
Yeah.
One is working for the other, and they are extrapolating their surplus value based on a non necessarily voluntary exchange, and then one is essentially just a voluntary exchange.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you just that is the most arbitrary distinction. I don't understand why that would be a meaningful distinction.
And now this goes into what I wanted to interject earlier, the voluntary exchange idea. So
this is a special pleading fallacy, dude. You just
What
arbitrarily
do you mean special pleading? So
yeah,
there's a direct differentiation when it comes to an investing.
Where? You didn't make any meaningful distinction.
I just described it to you. I can do it again if you want, but I just described it to you, right? You want me to do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
This
okay,
time, yeah,
two entities: employee or employer and insurance company, right? And then below them is going to be the employee and the service or the buyer, essentially. So the employee and the buyer, right? There's going to be a connecting line between both. You're saying they're the exact same. I'm saying the connecting line is different in the essence of the connecting line for one is a voluntary exchange that you don't necessarily need, and one is a non-voluntary exchange. Do you get that?
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. So you don't think that is a voluntary exchange for the worker?
Of course not. Yeah, of course not.
Okay, so why not?
Yeah, what's the other option?
Oh, wait. So, okay, this is really fun. More or less, your claim is that I've been trying to get to this forever. So your claim is that because your option is to either work or die, then this suggests that it wasn't a voluntary decision.
That's not necessarily my only claim. I think that's one of them. The other claim is essentially
I was asking why it isn't voluntary. I'm asking you your answer.
Yeah, no. So the claim is so I have multiple claims why market socialism is better. One is because it's not a voluntary aspect when it comes to either.
No. I didn't ask you why market socialism is better. I asked you why that exchange is not a voluntary exchange.
Yeah, I would dictate it the levels of severity when it comes to the repercussions of the opposite idea.
Wait, so at what level of repercussions is it okay versus not?
Well, yeah. Okay? So for the investor, or for the one. Wait. So let me answer. So the one that is buying the service given by the insurance agency, that is essentially, if I don't buy this, what happens? Nothing, really, right? Nothing at all. Actually, you just have less security when it comes to whatever you're buying. Then what happens for the other service, the employer and the employee? Well, you fucking die.
Wait. Yeah. That was, you just rephrased your answer from before.
Yes, and I gave the differentiating factor. I think the severity when it begots a voluntary exchange. One, nothing happens.
Wait. We're no longer trying to distinguish strictly between the insurance company's transaction and the capitalist transaction. We are now trying to distinguish between what makes a voluntary exchange and what makes an involuntary exchange.
I just did. So, oh my God. So you got lost.
Dude, my God. Let me finish.
You just asked me a question.
No, I was explaining that you misinterpreted my question.
No, so let me go back in because you got lost.
No. I got lost? No, you misinterpreted me, dude.
No, let me go back in.
Wait, where's the moderator? Is the moderator not here?
Wait, you asked me a question. I'm going to tell you how you got lost.
Hold on. No, I didn't get lost.
Yeah, so let me explain. So the first thing that happened was we were talking about, when it comes to an insurance agency and an employer-employee relationship where one is taking on risk for the other, what's the necessary difference? Well, the necessary difference of that is
No, we're not talking about that, dude. I'm asking you what makes
talking about.
No, I'm talking to you. We've moved on from that. So the distinction
you can see the point?
No.
Then how have we moved on from it? You conceded the point.
What? No. We're going. Okay, yeah. So this is how conversation. No.
Wait. Let PFM speak.
Dude, the conversation is progressing. Okay. So we accepted. We take your premise, and your premise follows from premise 1 to premise 2. We just discussed premise 1, and I'm testing the logical consistency of premise 1 by asking an additional question that is not necessarily dependent on the components of the first question. So I am asking you, again, you keep making this comparison. I'm asking you, what makes the exchange between, not as a comparison, what makes the exchange between the capitalist and the worker not voluntary?
Wait, the capitalist and the worker not voluntary? The severity of what happens if you not accept the thing being proposed.
What? So you're arbitrarily saying depending on
not arbitrarily, I'm saying the severity.
Wait, so what? Wait, if it's not arbitrary, where do we draw the line between what is too severe?
Oh, essentially, so I like to use a sort of not necessarily what's the other choice from dying essentially. Not even necessarily dying, but the idea. I would say dying actually.
Okay, cool.
Before your respond, I just want to say that the discussion period is going to end in 10 minutes. Afterwards, you guys have closing statements, all right? So 9:50 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Oh, so we're
trying to end this at 10 p.m. We're trying to end this at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Wait,
so
we have 10 minutes. 10 minutes and then the closing statements, or 10 minutes period?
10 minutes and closing statements, which is another 10 minutes. So we're going to end it at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Cool.
Have you guys felt like you've had a good enough discussion? Just do the closings now.
I mean, I feel like I've killed it, and I feel like every single thing I propose has been talked about zero because he doesn't want to. So I'm fine with
Dude, you still haven't answered my question.
Well,
No, I love
okay,
playing with
look, bro.
Okay, then PFM, would you feel better then and doing the final closing statement so you can properly?
I want to continue the discussion because he hasn't I'm trying to discuss this with him. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
We can do a minute each then. So go up to 9:47.
Okay.
9:48.
Yeah. So you say that it's not a voluntary exchange because you either work or you die.
Between the two.
Wait, but you clarified at the end by saying it's because you die.
I mean, like, so the more I think about it, the more
no, it's because so you to be clear,
it depends. You don't care about the severity. Wait. Can I reestablish? So yeah, so maybe die was a bit hyperbolic, or not hyperbolic. Yeah, hyperbolic. I can maybe go toward the idea of like when it causes a harm to the person if you do not accept it. Well, depending on the harm, like a physical harm, or say your health will be impacted by this decision.
Okay, sure. Can you name me a system where you don't have to work or die?
Oh, I never once said you didn't.
Okay, cool. So this is not something that's specific to capitalism. This is something that is true of all organizations of society because we have because we're subject to our physiological needs. Meeting our physiological needs is what drives us, and we have to work in order to meet them. So because this is a universal premise that exists in nature, you would have to be arguing that so nature, I guess, is exploiting us. So then to make a meaningful distinction about this exchange in capitalism, it would have to be specific to capitalism. Otherwise, you're just making a claim about literally any if it's something that's universally true. Okay. If it's something that's universally true, you're not really making a meaningful distinction.
No. So we have to go into the different terms of exploitation. Do you think there could be a different terms of severity when it comes to exploitation?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I think market socialism is, by definition, by every example you could possibly give, less exploitation than a capitalist society. I think you still have to work, of course, but I also think that the exploitation is essentially the fact that your profits are being exploited from the top of your system. I never once said there isn't exploitation in market socialist society that you seem to be arguing for. I actually agree with you that exploitation exists in every aspect of almost every single system. But the difference is, I think the exploitation is far lesser in a market socialist society.
This wasn't about whether or not. This all depends on whether or not capitalism is based on voluntary exchanges or not. So if you think, what?
So now, do you want to go back to the press, like the?
I thought that was Panini talking, and I got really confused.
Well, do you want to go back to like the first thing we talked about?
That wasn't Panini, dude. Holy fuck,
do you want to connect it to the? Okay, dude, you're wasting time.
Okay,
to the first thing we talked about.
That's Panini. Yeah. So, just to be clear, this is about what this premise depends upon is whether or not capitalism is our voluntary exchanges. Because this determines whether or not it's exploitation for you to engage in voluntary exchanges.
It is
that would result in So if it's so is it your claim that it's exploitative because it's based on this involuntary decision? What? Okay. So just to ask. So is it your claim that it's exploitative because it's dependent on this? I
will actually tell you because you seem to be struggling with what my point is. So it's exploitative to the idea that in a capitalist society, you have one person dictating every single decision for you that does no work. In a market social society, you have a vote to say what happens in the company. That's the difference. One is by definition more exploitative than the other. Of course, both are, but one is far lesser.
This is a binary question of whether or not it's voluntary. Are there voluntary exchanges? Is it based on a voluntary exchange, or is it not based on a voluntary exchange?
No, I think it's a voluntary exchange based on exploitation.
Wait, but I thought it was an involuntary exchange, or I thought it was an exploitative.
It is exploitative. Both are exploitative.
Excuse me. Could you please let me finish? Can you please let me finish, dude?
You're asking. Okay, bud.
yeah, for me to ask my
We have
question,
1 minute left.
I
Yeah,
have
dude,
to
just come on.
explain my question. Yeah, so the fuck, I forgot. Sorry, there's so much-
PFM. Do you just
I hate
want
this.
to?
Yeah, okay, if this dumbass
Okay,
is gonna talk, I'm gonna talk.
Okay, yeah. Point being.
PFM. We'll continue this into your closing statement, which begins right now.
Right.
Oh, okay. So this is my closing statement right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So because it is a voluntary exchange, because we don't make claims about whether or not it's voluntary depending on nature. So if we were to make this claim, it would be a completely meaningless distinction for it to be voluntary if it exists for literally all societies, no matter how you organize yourself. It is involuntary depending on whether somebody is initiating force upon you in order to make that decision. If somebody is holding me at gunpoint and they've held me at gunpoint, and as a result of holding me at gunpoint, they get me to do whatever it is that I want. That was an involuntary exchange for me to do whatever it is that they made me to do, because they were initiating force upon me. If it is made, the premise that if you either work or you die does not imply that it is involuntary, because that is something that is a universal to nature, and it is a meaningless distinction. So this premise of this organization between capitalists and employers is an entirely voluntary exchange, and I believe in freedom. I think people should be able to freely make whatever version of voluntary exchanges they want. I'm not going to arbitrarily restrict private property from being traded. I will say that the issues with that by conflating capital and labor in the system of market socialism, there is a myriad of problems that are... What?
We only have like a minute left.
Okay, I thought I thought a minute was like longer than that or something. I don't know.
Okay, it's been 10 seconds. I have 10 seconds now, right?
What? Whatever.
Let PFM finish.
Come on, dude.
Okay. Okay. So I was going to say that as a result, the any successive employee is decentivized from increasing. God damn it! I don't have any time. I can't explain this point, dude. I just don't have enough time.
All right.
Okay, sick. My turn. So yeah, I'm gonna go over everything that my opponent went over and how he addressed none of what I said. The first thing that brought up was the idea of this weird going into my idea of what market socialism was, which I answered. So I was hesitant on the first topic or as the first part because I didn't think we needed to, which we didn't, because none of the questions pertained after actually related to anything that I believe at all. But the second part is he brought up the idea that the capital owner deserves the surplus value that they agreed with. They agreed the labor theory of value exists, and they believe that there was being extracted a surplus value, but they deserve that surplus value. Why do they deserve that surplus value? Risk, where they allocated it, and the investment. So the investment idea is that, workers, they need an investment. The capital needs to put this investment in, and they need to take on this risk, because if they lose this risk, then therefore, like, they deserve this because all the stuff they come up to. None of these things that he gave, the worker cannot do. And this idea that, the capitalist deserves it because he's doing it, I can just make the exact same argument for, hey, guess what? The worker could do it, therefore he deserves this. And this is why I believe in the market socialist system. The market socialist system essentially takes the capitalist system, gets rid of all the shitty parts, and then makes it better. Every single free market interaction, except the trading of equity, which doesn't even deserve to be traded because it doesn't actually help at all. When you compare it to like the detriments that come back from it with the idea of capital ownership, is demonstrably hurtful. When I have given multiple different arguments for market socialism, and then the only argument that you're able to come up with is, it's not necessarily a voluntary exchange, that I also agreed with, or no, it's not a voluntary exchange, and if that's not voluntary exchange, then nothing is a voluntary exchange. Or like this argument of, it exists in nature, therefore it's found in both.
10 seconds.
I said, yes, it is found in both. It's found in both, and that was your only argument against me. I have been right on every single issue that I come up to. Your only argument has been, he's talking over me. Please come with actual facts, because none of this helps your point in the slightest, and you ignored everything I said.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for this official debate. Honestly, it was a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm glad that we at least got these closing statements done so that we can close off the stream. Thank you all for coming down to the stream. Make sure y'all follow PPH on Discord, TikTok, and YouTube. We'll be continuously posting more content on there.
Follow me on TikTok.
Okay, y'all can shout yourself out real quick if y'all want to.
Okay. Yeah, PFM_18. Follow me there.
Yeah. OmniFlow debates.
I don't have any videos, but follow me anyway.
Make sure to vote for coming. Yep, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for watching.